So we have this to share for people that cannot be with us. Okay, and it looks like it is recording. So again, welcome everyone. I have a couple of things to share with you today, and I actually want to share a presentation. I know usually I just kind of talk through these things, but this one really needs some visual help. So I'm going to share my screen. There we go. So I think all of you know, when I started here at Compass in January, I committed to really going on a listening tour for the first 90 days. And I'm just hitting my 90th day. I think it's either today or tomorrow. So right on schedule. I can't believe it's been 90 days. It's been an amazing time so far. And so I want to share with this group right now the results of my listening tour over the past 90 days. And I'll also be doing a recording of this and putting it out in the MMU on Mondays for all of our families. And I did share this with the board at our meeting this past Saturday. So just want to go over it with all of you and give you a chance to ask questions. So of course, over my first 90 days, I conducted a listening tour that really consisted of 2 questions. What do you love about Compass, and what ideas do you have to make Compass better? And I did lots of different things, right? So surveys and in-person meetings and virtual meetings. And I tried to really make sure that I was available for one-on-ones or group meetings throughout the time, and had a lot of participation. I got to go to the Orange County Learning Center in person, so that was great. And so I've been really trying to make sure that there were multiple ways for everyone to have input. So from my the survey that I did, we had 85 responses. You can just kind of see the breakdown of staff and scholars and our learning coaches. And the majority of the respondents were in options, some were in online, and then we have a lot of staff, of course, that support both. So when talking to staff, and this was, from the survey, from the many discussions that I had, and honestly, this really started day one when I was at the board meeting on December 3rd and got to meet a lot of people in person on there, as JJ was kind of handing me the baton in that meeting. And overwhelmingly, what I heard about what people love about Compass is the people, right? That it's like a family, that everyone is dedicated, talented, teamwork, helpful. Those were the threads that came out, and that it really is a community. And that I'm sure you have seen, I've put out a couple of different articles about that, and I'm really excited about being a part of that community. So I appreciate all of you, and the way that this really came forward. Like there was just no doubt from listening to people that the people here are the reason that we're all here, and it's the best thing about Compass. The other big thing that came from staff was really around the model, right? So having that it's innovative and flexible, and that you're individualizing and personalizing opportunities for our scholars, the ability to work from home, the fact that this is an organization that has a clear mission and we celebrate our Arctic values. We have these different programs that our scholars can choose from, and that we really are striving to be the gold standard. And so a lot of the positive things that I heard were really around the model. And I definitely honor that and appreciate it. And I have had so much fun learning about different programs that I had not worked with previously, and just how personalized the learning is at Compass for our scholars, and just the singular focus and dedication to that. So I just put a couple actual quotes in here. I did get to visit the office as well. So we have, as you can see there, that we took that group photo in our office at Thousand Oaks, and we had a nice visit and lunch with everybody, and I got to meet several departments. So that was great. But I felt like these 2 quotes really embodied, what we love about Compass. It's the people and the model and the flexibility. So then when we talked about how Compass can improve, I had lots of opportunities, like I said, in one-on-one and in group meetings. And it really came to the forefront that we need to build communication and trust, especially between leadership and staff. And then just really understanding the fact that there are so many systems. And so really aligning those systems and coming up with ways to streamline that and make it more efficient. And really just having the faith and trust in our staff, that they are doing what's best for scholars and their families and trying to reduce that clerical work, right? So it's really around like building trust and efficiency. So then when I talked to scholars, only 9 responded to the survey, but then I also had, like I said, a chance to talk with many of them at the Orange County Learning Center, as well as I did a couple of scholar-focused virtual sessions. And so what they love about Compass is the flexibility, the ability to be at home, teachers, friends, feeling safe, and the opportunity to do things where they could connect with each other, like in field trips and in clubs. So it really, again, was about the people and also the model. And then as far as how to improve, they want more opportunities to meet in person, in field trips, meet other students, more elective opportunities and clubs, those types of things, those types of connections, so that they can connect with other scholars. That was one of the big themes that I heard from our scholars. And then as far as parents are concerned, they similar themes. They really love that the scholars can communicate with each other, that it's safe, and that relationship that they have with their supervising teacher. And I really like the second quote about the combination of freedom with the guidance from the staff to give my learner the best personalized education. And I think that really sums it up, you know, that it's this connection with a teacher as well as that personalized learning, and having the opportunity to meet in person and some of those things. And this was actually the San Diego families event that Kim Aguilar and I were able to attend. And so that was actually not Compass families, but the potential Compass families. And then how can we improve? So from the parents, again, more opportunities for meetups, in person, connecting, more vendors and more choice in that area, and then potentially grouping teachers in age ranges. So those were some of the things that were themes, you know, from multiple parents that I heard. And that's, I actually got some really good input from parents at the physical fitness test there that we did down here in Imperial Beach. So from all of this, and it was a lot, and there are many things in there, and there were also some really good like individual ideas that we've already started working on. But really, if I look at the overall picture, you know, our WIG of 100% of staff will report increased coherence, improved culture, and greater connectedness. What I really see is that building trusting relationships and a culture of collaboration, innovation, and ongoing learning needs to be my top priority right now. And so incorporating that professional learning on building trust into the Leadership Academy and into all that we do. And so I have already started doing that work with the leadership team, and that will be including all staff in that work very soon, within the next couple of weeks to start. And to me, having trust in an organization it's absolutely the basis of everything else. We won't have collaboration and innovation and streamlining of systems and all of those other things if we don't have that strong level of trust. So that's my end of my my presentation, and I do have a couple of other things to share with you, but I wanted to open it up just because I just gave you a lot of information, and it was information that is based on feedback that I've heard from all of you. And so I know typically we do questions in the chat, and so you can do that if you want to, but if you want to raise your hand and ask a question, I think that is totally okay too, whatever works for you. And we're doing pretty good on time right now. So any thoughts, feedback, questions? Vanessa.
I love the idea of more in-person events. I've heard that from families when I chaperone field trips up here up north. I'm wondering what that would look like. We don't have a lot of staff up north, and I attend as many field trips as I can. I'm wondering if there's a way to sort of, I see you, Becca. I'm wondering if there's a way to deputize or elevate some parents to be sort of the hosts at, park play dates or something that's a little less formal. So yeah, I'd love to kind of look at options that kind of run themselves, sort of. Not that I wouldn't want to be there. I'd love to maybe even have staff be there to kind of get something started and then have them sort of self-running.
Yes, I love that. And I think, in the spirit of innovation, everything's on the table to look at. And even that is what I heard from parents, like, we want to start our own Compass meetup group, what might that look like? And so, thinking about what structures might need to be put in place, of course, what the legal ramifications, all of those good things that we have to take into account. But how can we be innovative and do things a little bit differently when we know that we're so spread out? But we also have the information. We know families that live close to each other, they might not even know that they live close to each other, right? In our Scholar Leadership Council meeting, which they provided a lot of that information as well, we just did a poll to see where everyone was. And some of them found out that they were in the same town and they were like, oh, we're in the same town, like we want to meet, So, and again, there are challenges with that too. We'd have to, but I think it's really open to looking into what we might be able to do to increase those opportunities. Lisa.
Hi. Okay, I have two things, and they're not at all related to each other, but put them both out. One is that I was wondering if you've thought about maybe restructuring how our honor roll system works, because at the moment you have to get a certain number of 4s as well as 3s, because it's still the 3.5 even for the youngers, while we're telling parents a 3 is meeting grade standard and you only get the 4 if they have that in-depth understanding. And I feel like some parents are feeling like, well, if my child's basically getting all A's at their grade level, then they should be getting on the honor roll. But the way it's currently structured is you can only get on the honor roll if your kid's able to do in-depth above grade level understanding. So that's one. And number two, this keeps coming up with my club. And I was hoping this is kind of a good brainstorming time if anyone else has ideas. My club kids, they want to get together with each other and play Minecraft at times that are not just our one monthly meeting, because they love it, but there's not really a good way for them to communicate with each other and talk to each other and find that way to meet up, even though they want to. So if anybody had ideas or if there's anything we could put in structure for those kids to be able to talk to each other better, that'd be great. Those are my two things.
Thank you. Those are great ideas. I appreciate that. Laura.
So, so I just wanted to clarify, from all of the surveys, it sounds that family, scholars, and staff are happy with how things are set right now in regards to our rosters and things like that, correct?
Well, I don't know that they got that specific. Do you have a specific? I mean, I'm not sure I can answer your question accurately.
Well, no, it's okay. I was just wondering. So it sounds to me like they're happy with the way things are. But my concern is that grade spans keep coming up in different conversations across Compass. And so I was just wondering if they're happy with their roster or with their ST now and things are going well, would grade spans still be on the table for 2024, 25 year?
That's something I have to look into specifically. There was a lot of feedback, I think you saw from the parents, on the fact that they actually liked the grade spans. But again, I wouldn't make a decision just based on what I heard in that instance or in another. I'd want to look at the whole challenge. And I know that there's a lot going on in the grade spans, so I don't want to say anything here that will say I'm making a decision, but I know that is something that is being looked at. And as we look at that, we are always going to take into account the impact on families and the fact that they are happy. So, sometimes we have to make changes. When we do that, what is the impact going to be? Take one more from Rebecca, and then I'm going to move on to the next thing and encourage people to put questions in the chat.
All right, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate everything you said, and I loved the idea of listening to our families and our staff and everybody and trying to get a whole picture perspective. My question is more, I think the idea of building community and connection is super important. That's what I keep hearing as well. And I've had a lot of thoughts about it, but my question is, what's the best forum for us as teachers to become involved in that conversation moving forward? Like, I guess workplace has been a place for that conversation. I don't love workplace for myself, but I wonder just what's the best way to kind of make sure that how to think through involving teachers in that conversation, I guess.
Thank you. Yes, and we did hear a lot about communication, and I think many of you saw recently I have put out a couple of all staff emails because what I heard was that email is the best way to communicate important things. Don't put it in a million different places, and I can certainly put it in more than one place, but overall, if I need to send something out to everyone, I'm going to send it via email, and the expectation is that you're going to receive it. And I'll try not to send you too many, right? Or make sure that the things that I send out are important for all staff. And then as we move forward, and I don't know exactly what it's going to look like yet, but we'll make sure that we're constantly looking for involvement from everyone when we are moving towards, if we decide, hey, one of our goals is really to increase this community involvement, or, the in-person, that kind of thing, then making sure that we have a way to get all voices, make sure that everyone is heard. Because, I mean, the teachers especially are going to be the drivers of that, right? You are the ones who are working with the families. You have the ideas, where people are and how we can make that happen. So setting up structures in order to, whether it's through your coordinators or, figuring out what that's going to look like, but making sure that we're making space for people to be involved is going to be critical to any work that we do in that space.
Thank you. And I super appreciate the emails also.
Okay, great. I'm glad we're trying to help with that. And so I just want to follow up on a couple of other things, and then I'll take a couple more questions. So yes, our CASP testing has started this week. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. I understand this is so challenging. It's challenging for everyone, for our scholars, for their families, for our teachers and our coordinators and everyone who's providing support to this. It's so stressful because we know how high stakes it is. And I just really appreciate, I've heard from so many of you, with different questions, and working with parents to try to make sure that we get that participation rate. And, I've been trying to make sure that I put out information so that everybody understands the importance of it. And I do a lot of advocacy work in that arena. So really showing, people outside of Compass, this system is broken. But we're working within it. And so we are making sure that we are doing the best that we can to support our families and our scholars to participate in that. So I just wanted to really say thank you to all of you for the hard work. I know it's challenging, and I've heard there have been technology challenges, and you get the families there and then suddenly the browser's not working, or it doesn't work on their computer, and I just know how frustrating that can be. And so want to make sure that everyone is taking care of themselves. We know that this is a stressful time, and it's important, and we are just going to do the best we can, because that's what we show up for every day, and that is all we can do, really. So just want to really express gratitude for all the work that you are doing on that, and certainly let me know if there's anything that you need help with that I can possibly help with. The other big thing right now that we are doing, and again, I want to say thank you because we're doing such an amazing job, is our enrollment. And the enrollment team has been just really stellar in processing all of those enrollments and paperwork. And, you know, we're just seeing higher rates than we have in the past of our families completing those housing questionnaires and getting everything ready for next year. And it's so helpful when we can get as much done as we can this school year, so that when we start next year, you know, day one, that we're ready to go and we have you know, a healthy enrollment, and we can make sure that we are meeting our targets for funding. And so just wanted to also appreciate what everyone is doing in that space as far as the enrollment goes. So let me take a look in the chat here and say, yes, thank you for all the teachers. Oh, that's an interesting point about, you know, STs assigned to one charter. I know many of the STs, they have their scholars are spread out, sometimes maybe even all over the state. So that's an interesting idea. And of course, I'll make sure to memorialize the chat here. So yeah, the final STAR assessment. I think, you know, after this year, we can look at the STAR assessment cycle. I know that for verified data, it really does help us to have those multiple points in time. And I also hear you and understand that, you know, it's the end of the year and we're doing this CASP testing. And then if you're an English language learner, you have your LPAC, and then we also have the STAR testing. So I think that's something we can evaluate for next year, because I know you're really just starting to get into these cycles of assessment, and it's a lot. And again, I can't say enough what an amazing job you have all done to reach that 95% participation rate with the STAR testing. It just shows the relationship that you have with our scholars and our families, and that you were able to get them to participate, and it really does help provide us with information on the types of programs that we need, you know, where our scholars are, making sure that we're providing support for those that need it, you know, using our MTSS. That whole system. So it's definitely been fantastic that you were able to do that. And it does give us a lot of information. And I hear you that it's a lot when we're doing those multiple testing, especially at the end of the year. Okay. Just going through. Okay. Oh, the reasonable assurance letters. Yes, they will be coming out, I believe, before spring break. I know that the HR, the people team is working on them, and so they will be out within the next couple of weeks. Looking at the question around if pathways settings would be set to show all students on the main teacher dashboard so they can easily jump where they need to do.
I have three
Brenda.
computers up because I was tech ticketing, and so my keyboard was awkward. I'm so sorry. No, and at a former school, we had pathways set up. They were able to set it up. Christy could help me too explain it, but they had it set up so that all of the different scopes were on the main dashboard, and it made it so that it was much easier for teachers to be able to jump to where they needed to go versus having to go scope by scope by scope. It was just it was nice because all the students were in one spot on the teacher dashboard. And it seems like I mean, that was old. That was 2019. So it seems like that would be probably even improved on a setting that we could explore.
Okay, yeah, that's how I'm used to working on it. So I'm not sure why it's set up differently. So that's a good point to bring up. Oh, and I do see that Sophie is on. Sophie, did you want to say anything more specific about the reasonable assurance letters? She might be in the car. All right. Now I'm just seeing some tech help in there, so that's good. Lots of good thoughts. Any other questions that I missed in the chat, or anybody want to type one in or raise your hand? And of course, you know, I'm going to announce the employees of the month, so don't worry, I didn't forget.
There was a comment in the chat, and I think it arose from how we were asked about providing our credentials last week, and also our preferences, which is what maybe for some of us started a conversation buzz about what exactly are we preferring, and why do you want to know what we prefer, and when would that be relevant? And I think maybe part of it was also that some people were asked like maybe at different moments, and it didn't seem to come out as a, like, we have this plan, more like a lot of wondering. And when that happens, sometimes it feels like, what's going on? Did we miss something?
Who was asking about the credentials, Stephanie?
Our coordinators. And so just, and then I don't know if it was all coordinators, and I maybe there's some more information in the chat, or somebody else
Which is,
jump in.
Stephanie, which is why I asked about the grade spanning, because that's what brought it back up, is when they asked us what we're credentialed for.
Got it. Okay. I think I know where this is coming from. So this year, kind of for the first time, what I've done is we're kind of planning for another thing that happened at the board meeting on Saturday was that we changed the caps, right? So I think, you know, this year we had enrollment caps that were by charter and by program. And one of the unintended consequences of that is that sometimes programs would fill up and we would put scholars on a waiting list, even though we actually had seats available that a teacher could, like the scholar could have been enrolled, but because of the way the caps were designed, it made us unable to enroll some students. And so the caps are important, right? We want to make sure that we're not suddenly just enrolling way too many scholars than we have staff for. We also want to make sure that we're enrolling in a way that allows us to have the flexibility that we know that we have because of the way Compass is structured. So the board approved new caps that are just by program. So options, online, and Orange County Learning Center. And of course, the Learning Center has caps because they have a physical limitation. They can only serve a certain number of scholars in the space that they have. And so that is really going to help us for next year. And as part of that work, I wanted to work with the leadership team to really empower the coordinators to work within their departments on ensuring that they are assigning scholars to their STs in a way that makes sense, that they are filling up their rosters kind of evenly, and that they know that they want to have full rosters, right? So we kind of based it on, if everybody was full, what would that look like? And then as we are building towards that, being able to make decisions on staffing and things. And so coordinators are working with their teams. And so they may be asking you questions like that because they're coming up with a plan for how they are going to make sure that in each of their departments, they can serve the number of students that we are staffed for. So those caps are based on staffing, right? Those are with the number of credentialed teachers that we have. And so again, now that you're asking about that, I'm like, okay, that makes sense with the grade levels, because in some cases, you know, if we're getting a whole lot of kindergartners, then we need to make sure that we have people that have the credentials that are going to serve them. So I'm thinking that's probably where that is coming from. And I know the coordinators are all working on that right now. We've had a lot of great discussions around what that is going to look like for next year. And it's never going to be perfect, right? Because we never know exactly what scholars are going to enroll with us, but we do the best we can to provide that support. And then if we do get to the point where we're getting too many, then we will implement those wait lists again and make sure that we can increase our staffing if that's what's needed. Oh, okay. And it's 3:30. I'm seeing okay, I one question I do want to clarify, because I know there's been a lot of discussion around this. Full is what teacher to scholar ratio? There is a little bit of variety, but you know, our ratio is 25:1 ADA overall. And so that means like a caseload of 27 to 28 if you think of the amount of attendance and, you know, allowing for attrition. So that's the maximum. So the maximum is 25:1 ADA. So that's based on your attendance, right? So that's what we are using. And we do have a little bit of variation in that, like for TK. And but for the most part, in general, that's the rule. And that is the rule from the state, that we have to follow that as part of our charter. So we use that to say maximum staffing. If everybody was full, this is where we would be as far as our enrollment caps. You're welcome. Okay, so let me finish us off here with our employees of the month. And so for our certified, certificated, credentialed employee of the month is Shalimar Slobodan from the Orange County Learning Center. Special shout out to her. She's a supervising teacher at the OCLC, was recently a parenting OC top teacher finalist in that publication. She also co-manages the OCLC Instagram account and has created some video montages of Astro Camp and lots of things. She's a bright example of what it means to be the living embodiment of our Arctic core values. So congratulations, Shalimar. And for classified, we have our very own Vanessa Beyer. Yes. She's our outreach coordinator, and we wanted to highlight all the work that she has done to ensure that everything is ready to go for our 23-24 enrollment. And she so much goes into making sure that that window runs smoothly, and she always sets us up for success and is always creative about thinking of new ways to make that happen. So thank you very much. Congratulations to both of you. It's well deserved. And of course, we'll be highlighting that in all of our publications coming up. So thank you all so much for your time and attention. I appreciate you being here for our town hall. Have a good rest of your week. And thank you for all of your thoughtfulness and your questions.